Hello, everybody. I'd like to invite Niccolo Masi, CEO of Glu Mobile, out. This is our first fireside chat here. All righty. So I thought you were bringing Kim with you.
I thought that I didn't need to at this point. I mean, you know.
So thank you for coming to talk about the celebrity strategy. And I think for many people, they had probably never heard of Glu Mobile until Kim Kardashian Hollywood came out. So can you maybe tell us some history of everything that went on before that?
Well, congratulations for all of you making it to the most exciting panel of the day. I'm going to do my best to keep this interesting. For those who haven't heard the story, and it's probably been recited a few times on broadcast TV, I approached Kim in actually early 13 about the prospect of working with her and taking her IP and brand power and social power and effectively infusing that with a game engine that we had proven out as already being successful around the concept of fame. We had a game called Stardom the A-List and Stardom Hollywood, which we'd put out in 2011 and 2012. And I suspected that there'd be possibly a great marriage between her strengths and ours in monetizing effectively her social audience through gaming. And so we began collaborating in about the middle of 2013. Game came out in 2014, and obviously it's become a cultural phenomenon because I believe we've created a new category of interactive entertainment in a lot of ways. It's a living and breathing game that is based around a person coaching you from effectively D-list to A-list. And ultimately, unlike all other IP that typically comes from the movie space, the book space, this is something that is active and alive. And that's been a big component of how we make this game successful by twisting up the virtual and the physical world every chance we get, every update we get. We try and follow her around the world. We try and keep it current with what's happening in her life. And it makes players feel closer to her. Instead of having to wait for Sunday night to see the show, you can interact with Kim's world 6 times a day. 5 times a day is 5 or 6 times a day for 5 or 6 minutes a day is about the average player experience that we find. There's obviously a big roadmap of celebrity games that Glu is building, and that's probably what Dean wants to talk about for the rest of this session. But Kim and I have been the innovator for this category, and we think it's very much here to stay.
So how many games did you have before that, like in the portfolio? I mean, it was a portfolio strategy, right? And has it sort of morphed into having more emphasis on this one game, one category then?
So Glu's been going since 2001. We've been public since March of 7. We build about a dozen games a year. We are always believers that sort of betting it on 2 or 3 games a year is probably a little risky. And so we've been bouncing around the double digits, low double digits for the last 5 years. A lot of our games, Dean, used to actually be very male, very shooter. Gun Bros, Contra Killer, Funland Commando, Deer Hunter, Racing Rivals. This is where the bulk of our revenues were prior to the Kardashian game coming out. In a lot of ways, the Kim game is taking the best of both worlds. So we are merging some of the best, let's say, more hardcore game mechanics with a very broad audience. And her social following, obviously, is very tech-savvy. It's very mobile-forward, and it translates quite well over to mobile gaming engagement. Into the future, yes, we've signed deals with, I've announced 650 million celebrity social followers that we have now signed partnerships with. I said on our Analyst Day,
that's an interesting stat where I guess it sort of distinguishes your celebrities, I guess, from some of the other companies that are competing and copying now are signing up, I guess.
Yeah, well, we're signing the biggest ones, Zine. So if you want a chance at a $100 million plus celebrity game, we feel that we're the premier partner. And so people like Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Britney Spears, Kylie and Kendall Jenner, all of them are signed up to the Glu pipeline. And Jason Statham's our first male partner. So the game mechanics will vary, right? That's not going to be all the same, call it narrative RPG engine. The Jason Statham game is obviously going to be a shooter. But ultimately, what we think is unique about our approach is we're turning around the Tencent philosophy of take big social audience and social networking service and build games on top of it. We're trying to build social following for our games by partnering with people that have it already. And with that, Glu is endeavoring to build a longer-term, call it annuity pipeline of not only partnerships, but revenue streams. Gaming, I think, is the most effective way of monetizing social following typically. And what we're trying to prove is that if we can get to 1 billion social followers or more through long-term 5-year partnerships, we can be a unique asset in the game space, which is something that does have a predictable portfolio of revenues that come for many years and a contractual barrier to entry around it.
So how broad and deep do you think this celebrity category is? We saw League of Legends come out, and all of a sudden the MOBA category was established, but there's a handful of titles that are successfully competing in that category now.
Yeah, one of those big questions for our whole sector, right, is it a winner-take-all category? Is it one where multiple titles can succeed at the same time? I actually believe that it will prove out to be not a winner-take-all category. Certainly it'll be a winner-takes-more category, but when you stand back and look at the concept of people and fame, personalization of the media space, you can see it in all categories. Whether you're in the sports space, you're a TV actor, you're a reality star, musician, everybody's creating a personal brand, and fame is one of the oldest ideas around. And I'm sure it'll be around for the next 100,000 years as well. So to me, it's really about trying to drill into the unique brand affinity and the unique mechanics that will allow multiple games to sit alongside each other and not cannibalize and compete directly.
So if you look at the top 3 grossing games on the app stores, you find they have a lot fewer games, and I wonder how long that situation is going to last. And does it sort of make you consider the strategy in a different way in terms of doing a portfolio of games, like having a bunch of games?
So we're leaning into the celebrity pipeline largely because of this suppression of, let's say, installs in the top free charts that we've seen in the last year. There are some people that can spend a lot of money effectively acquiring users, to use our favorite vernacular, paid marketing spend. You've seen, in some ways, fewer games in the top 100 free apps than any time in the past 5 years, certainly the Apple charts. Some of that might be that we are not surprising and delighting audiences to the same extent as we once did. Some of it is due to the people that can spend large amounts of money on high LTV installers and so on. One of the reasons why we like the celebrity partnerships are that we get effectively a permanent marketing asset. So unlike a movie IP, where there isn't really much social following, if you partner with someone who has 100 million social followers, you have effectively inbuilt promotion. And so I'm expecting that we'll be able to see all of our celebrity games do well in the top free, do better than games would otherwise.
So you just launched James Bond, World of Espionage. What's the thinking there, and how does it sort of compare or contrast with Kim Kardashian?
Quite a contrast. So I think that game has been 2 years in the making. It was actually done at the same time as our Terminator or Mission Impossible deals, as well as the Kim Kardashian game. So think back to late 12, early 13. And a lot of thought went into these movie partnerships. The Kim partnership was an experiment for Glu, along with our movie partnerships, to take a tried and tested game engine and ultimately find a way to increase reach, right? Drive more installs, hopefully get some uptick in conversions, maybe even retention via the brand affinity IP. What we've seen pretty clearly in 3 movie titles as well as the Kim game is that there's a lot better affinity between a living, breathing person with an inbuilt digital promotion mechanism than there is with even the world's most successful movie franchise. So I think our conclusion from that whole portfolio strategy has been, celebrity is more effective than movie IP, generally speaking. And you'll see us, lean accordingly into the roadmap the next couple of years.
How do you also balance, I guess, the financials here between, the IP owners and yourselves?
Well, we balance them by trying to give them as little of the pie as possible, right? But the reality is, you know, you want an incented partner, right? So we haven't disclosed exact you know, royalty shares with Kim or any of our partners, but if you look at our quarterly results, you can see that we're paying 10, 11, 12% of our revenues in royalties every quarter, something like that, around about the 10% number. And you can work out how much of our game portfolio is branded versus original IP. You know, we own the Deer Hunter IP. We acquired that. We own the Diner Dash IP. We don't pay royalties on this. So, you know, Kim's making up a big chunk of that. And you can kind of see an imputed royalty rate, which is, you know, a modest but significant minority, right? And so having a partner who, if we're successful, can be effectively, you know, see a third, maybe a third, or where the top 3 income streams come from a game, makes for a very different dynamic than, say, a film whereby, you know, you can make $1 billion at the box office. Unless the game makes half that, the prioritization is not there. You know, for Kim, we're a top 2, top 3 income stream if we're successful. And I very much hope the same thing will be the case with our musician partners, who of course have seen paid music, physical music decline. They're now, you know, Katy Perry's making her money now on performance and merchandising, sponsorship. Gaming can be on the podium in our top 3 if we're successful.
Interesting. So James Bond games went through their cycle, and at the beginning of shooters, like with GoldenEye, 007, you know, they were very brilliant games, I guess. But they also ran out of gas at some point, and I wonder how you keep gamers interested in these branded games, you know, celebrity games.
No, that's right. Surprise and delight was one of the things I mentioned a few minutes ago as something that possibly our industry needs to push forward a little farther. Unless Apple has changed their top free algorithm, you see dramatically fewer games in the top free apps this year than you did even last year, and certainly fewer than you had, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. Part of that might be consumers are spending more time on social messaging, social networking apps. Part of it might be that we're not doing a good enough job as an industry at finding something that's innovative that punches through.